Thumbs up. Hey everyone, welcome to Northgate Church Live on Facebook. We're starting a minute early so that we can let everybody know that we are going live. And I'm supposed to kill time while Kyle plays some cool... What?
Or you can not.
Or cannot. I can just stare at you like you were staring at me. But anyway, I don't know, maybe to kill time and starts interaction, I don't know, I could go get the mail, but anyway, it's a wonderful day in the neighborhood. Won't you be my friend? Won't you be my neighbor? I don't have a sweater. Anyway, 3, 2, 1, we are live now. Welcome to the Northgate Live Church Facebook page, and I want everyone to know that we are practicing the guidelines. We are staying 6 feet apart, and I want you to notice that this might look closer than it is, but we are staggered to be apart as they worship. And I would encourage everybody, be a good example to other people, and as a church, we ought to be following the guidelines and taking care of, this is important. People are dying. I know that my parents are in their 80s, and I have to be careful because my seeming liberties or doubts or denials of what's going on could actually affect my parents. And so be careful with that. Mallory's not with us because she has allergies and we want to be careful. So shout out to Mallory. We miss you, Mallory. At this time, our youth pastor is going to come and start us with prayer.
Hey everyone, just a reminder to Northgate parents for the Northgate Youth Group. We're doing another Sunday school class at 1, but we're going to do it on Zoom. So keep a lookout for that code that gets you in the room and all of that stuff. All right, let's pray. Lord God, I thank you so much for our church and its people, whether they're watching at home or here. Lord God, we just pray just your blessing and your protection, Lord, in these times. So we love you. We give you all the praise and all the glory in your name. Amen.
Good morning, church. We're going to worship the Lord together in song for a bit here. Hopefully you guys had a chance to look up lyrics. In case you don't know the lyrics to these songs, I posted them on the Northgate page. We're going to do Good, Good Father, and then What a Beautiful Name.
Tender whisper of love.
going to talk about God rescuing us from our hurts. And but I want to preface a little bit of what's going to happen in the next couple of weeks. Next Sunday we're going to be celebrating the triumphal entry of Jesus. It's called Palm Sunday. And we're going to have a special communion service during that time. So we're going to have virtual kind of live communion. So I'm going to ask everybody to have some grape juice on hand and some bread to break it and feed those whom you are with. And we're going to partake of that together next Sunday. And we may do the very same thing on Easter as well. But we also have something special next week. And we're going to add a layer of interaction. And those of you who have attended Northgate, we have a cross in the corner of the church that has lights on it. And during worship, people walk forward and they turn a light on, which represents their prayer request. So next Sunday, on Easter, instead of decorating the cross, what we usually do at Easter time, we take a barren, rugged cross and we decorate it with flowers during worship. We're going to have you present your prayer requests, and we're going to have someone live here, of course, and going to turn a light on every time we see someone say, I have a prayer request. You can mention it in detail or not, but it will be out for everybody to see, but we can all pray for each other that way too. And so that's going to happen in the next 2 weeks. And for Easter morning as well, the message, we're going to have we're going to do an interview with Diane Palmer and it'll be a 5-minute little clip on some miracles that have happened at a time where God rescued a plane in a pretty spectacular way that landed in Portland. It's just a story we're going to share, but she was right there next to it. Anyway, let's get into the Word of God. We are going to be looking at Mark chapter 5, verses 24 through 34. Let's read. A large crowd followed and pressed around him, and a woman was there. She came up behind him in a crowd and touched his cloak, because she thought, if I just touch his clothes, I will be healed. Immediately, her bleeding stopped, and she felt in her body that she was freed from her suffering. At once, Jesus realized that power had gone out from him. He turned around to the crowd and asked, "Who touched me?" "You see the people crowding against you," his disciples answered, "and yet you ask, 'Who touched me?'" But Jesus looked around to see who had done it. Then the woman, knowing what had happened to her, she came and fell at his feet, trembling in fear, told him the whole truth. He said to her, "Daughter, your faith has healed you. Go in peace and be free from your suffering." This morning is, do you have hurts? I think we all do. But I wanted to also show that we are a high-tech church, and I went out and got some very high-tech software, and it's called Flannel Graph Soft, because it's really soft. And if there's kids out there, bring them in for this one, because we are going absolutely retro high tech. So what we have is we have a village that Jesus is passing through, and there is a crowd of people all wanting to hear Jesus. And he's walking through the crowd, but there is this one lady who has been suffering at the hands of her hurts, her ailments, and she believes that if she could touch the hem of his garment, she would be healed. And she was, but we're going to look deeper into that. Now, we're going to leave our high-tech stuff and let's get into the outline. One is, I've got 5 points here, and it's in there. They go in this order. We have one hurt, one person, one risk, one touch, and one word. We're going to look at the hurts. Hurts impact each one of us. This woman was incredibly hurt. She had been suffering for many, many years. And not only that, but suffering, not being well. But she had spent all of her money. There's a clue here that she may have even been a wealthy person. But yet, nothing healed her, nothing touched, nothing made a difference in her life. Can you imagine what she is going through? Now, you got to understand this, because here is a woman who is suffering. You got to realize the depth of her suffering. Especially, now let's illustrate, let's make this practical, because in this culture, she would be declared unclean. So when she went outside to go get bread or food or water, you were required under the law to walk down, if you're to walk down a path or through the city, that you had to shout out, unclean, unclean. Now let's make this really practical. Let's say that you are in Winco, or you are in Fred Meyer, or you're at Walmart, and you're walking down the aisle, and you are saying, I've got COVID-19. I've got COVID-19. I would wonder what that aisle would look like. Now, you might get a really direct path, but this woman had to do that when she went out. Can you imagine how she hurt inside, the rejection, the distance from people? You see, I believe all of us have maybe that one hurt. Maybe you've been hurt by someone. Maybe you've been hurt by a church or by religious people. Maybe you've been hurt by someone in your family or a friend. You know, it's one of the things about hurts. It doesn't matter how rich you are. It doesn't matter how accomplished you are. We all get hurt. And this woman had one hurt. The next thing I want to look at is one person. You see, she was one person. It's one thing I think we need to understand about our hurts is that we're individuals. That each person may have a different hurt. And what we tend to do, don't we, when we get together is we kind of compare our hurts, and, you know, it's kind of like war wounds. It's like, well, I've got a bigger scar than you do, and you hurt. You think that's bad. Well, what about this? And we kind of escalate that and who's hurt the most. But, you know, to Jesus, to God in your life, you are one person, and God really does care about your hurt that gets in the way of you becoming exactly what God wants you to be. And understand this, that Mark points this out in the gospel, because he has, of all the stories that he could have put forward, of all the stories, this is mentioned in 3 of the gospels. This is incredibly important, that the writers wanted everybody to know that an individual person Jesus cares enough about to stop the world and to speak into their life. The next one I want to talk about is one risk. Again, talking about a risk. She had to take a risk. She went out of her house. She heard Jesus was coming through, and she took one risk. And that risk was huge. Can you imagine, instead of declaring herself unclean for everybody, she put something and covered her head. She went out the door, and she took a risk. You know what? A lot of people today, because of their hurts, because of their experiences, because of what they've been through in their life, they do not want to take a spiritual risk. And yes, there are spiritual risks that we have to take. It's really comfortable to stay inside your own world with our own struggles and our own problems. But you got to take that one risk. You got to venture out. And this woman did. I know there's a lot of people that are accomplished. That's one of the things about being a pastor of a church. I've experienced a lot of people's lives. I've seen people who've been accomplished, who are wealthy, who have done amazing things, who are incredibly self-reliant. Yet even they, at the end of the day, when their head hits the pillow, they know there's something more that has to be addressed in their life, and they avoid it. That's why I'm not really, I must say, I'm not really big on self-help. I'm not really big on motivational stuff, because that will only take you so far. Self-help, let me tell you something. You are not the answer to your own questions. If you were the answer to your own question, you wouldn't be asking the question, but yet you do. You have questions. You know there's something deep down inside you that needs to be addressed. You know it. And you think that you got the answer. We don't. This woman didn't. It doesn't matter how wealthy you are. It doesn't matter how many doctors you see. It doesn't matter how many times you watch something that will motivate you. What matters is, do you want to be able to get out, take one risk, get out there one more time, and take that spiritual risk, take a step of faith, and reach out. And this is the next point, is one touch. So we have one hurt, we have one person, we have one risk, we have one touch. This is the touch. This woman, it doesn't say in this text that if you touch Jesus, everything happens. It's not the garment. It's not people trying to reproduce something that they read in the Gospels. This woman believed that if she did this, that something would happen. That's the point. It's not that doing that is the touch. It's the fact that she reached out and made contact. She reached out by faith. Jesus, later on, we saw in this story, it's her faith made a difference. She placed her faith in Christ, not in herself. You can't rely on yourself. Self-reliance will only take you so far. And we all reach the end. And that touch needs to be Christ. Reach out and touch Christ by faith. Now, the last part of this, I think, is the most powerful thing, is you have this woman touching the garment of Jesus, and she realizes that she is healed, that she is touched. She says that she is. But Jesus does something absolutely spectacular. He says, in the middle of the crowd, "Who touched me?" Now, I don't think Jesus is sitting there looking around going, "I have no idea who did this." What he was doing is he's asking for this woman, this is great, to make another risk, to take another risk, to be exposed. He's asking her to come forward, to make herself known. She could have just simply slipped away off. Can you see that in a movie? She's just kind of backing away and drifting off, and she fades back, and no one steps forward. Have we not done that in our lives? Where God does a work, he touches us, and then there's something more that needs to be done in our life. There's something more. And what do? We get distance from him. This is not the social distancing that you want to do, and that is spiritual distancing. Is you've been touched by Christ, Christ makes a difference in your life, and you kind of fade off into the background. Jesus didn't want that to happen to her. Why? Because there was something more to be done in her life. There's something more than just our physical well-being, because these bodies are all going to die anyway. The difference is what's happened inside of her that Jesus wants to draw out. And so he asks her, "Who touched me?" And he said it twice in the context of the other Gospels. Twice, "Who touched me?" His disciples are going, "What is wrong with you? There's a bunch of people touching you." She realizes that she cannot get away, and that she comes and bows before Jesus, and she tells him everything. And he says something that is so profound. It is this one word, and only one person in all of the Gospels is called this. He calls her daughter. That's huge because in our American context, we get a little bit of it, but understand the Hebrew culture, understand the Jewish culture, that this is deep. To be called a daughter of God, to be called a daughter means this. It means acceptable to God. It means rejoicing in God's particular care and protection. This is an endearing word. In other words, what Jesus said in one word transformed this woman's life, because there was something more than just her physical healing that needed to be done. It was the hurts in her life that were deep: anger, resentment, distance from people, wounded, hurt, all of these things going on in her life. Jesus knew she needed more, and he drew it out. He called her daughter, an endearing word. I love you so much that you're accepted by God. And this particular care that I have for you, I'm going to protect you. This melted her heart. And Jesus said something at the end. He said this, and it actually means rescue. He said this to her, daughter, your faith has healed you. Go in peace and be rescued from your suffering. A lot of us, and I'm going to challenge you, all of us, all of you out there, do you have hurts? Do you have struggles? Do you have bitterness? Is there something going on in your life? Whatever, it's deeper, it's layered. And I'm telling you, okay, you were touched by God at some point in your life. What have you done with it? Come forward. Make a difference. Make a commitment. Follow through with it. I believe God is placing us in a moment in time exactly what we need to be doing right now. And I want you to respond. Say, hey, I'm that woman, or I'm that son. I need Jesus to tell me, daughter, to tell me, son, that I'm accepted by God, that I'm in his amazing providential, his amazing care, his amazing protection. I need that. You need a deeper healing. It's not necessarily just the physical, but more importantly, it's a spiritual healing that needs to take place in your heart. What I want you to do, respond. This is a part of this live stuff is that you get to respond. Say, I need your touch. Say, Jesus, just respond in such a way that you put yourself out there, where you throw yourself at the feet of Christ. Let's close in prayer. Dear Father, thank you for this time. Be with Mallory. She's not with us, but thank you for this worship team. Lord, we are such a blessed church, and I would like to invite you, one of these days, we're going to be back in our sanctuary, probably with more services so that we gives ourselves more space, Lord. But I just pray there's someone right now that knows that they need to take the step of faith and not care about what anybody else thinks. Ooh, what about this religious stuff? Dear Lord, that was a big challenge in my life, is caring about what other people thought of me. But Lord, I really care more about what you think of me than what anybody else does. And Lord, I care about reaching out and touching you so that you can touch my heart. Lord, I pray for everyone that have the courage and to take out a step of faith and not worry about the religious stuff, but worry about a relationship with Jesus, that he truly did come into my life and he totally changed me. Some of you out there knew what I was like in high school. But God changed me. And forever I have been changed. Lord Jesus, continue to work in our lives. Lord, we pray this prayer. Jesus, I just receive you into my life. Change me. In Jesus' name, amen. Well, everyone, have a good afternoon, and God bless you. We're all going to say goodbye. Everybody, you can pan the room and say goodbye to everybody. Worship team and everyone. You can talk. Northgate Live signing out.
See you next time.
Bye. high tech.